player, though, honestly.
Welcome to Still Talking Uncut. I'm your host, Big Easy, joined by my co-host, Sean Rigsby. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We got two special guests tonight. Margie and Rodney from Cooper Creek Moonshiners. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You're glad to have y'all, but
We're glad to be here.
It's
Sorry about last Monday.
No, that was me. I had a family thing with the fireworks.
Oh, I didn't even have to say anything then.
And I appreciate you taking the blame. Monday was me. We had
Our air
fireworks.
conditioner went out.
So, I mean that's substantial too. So double. So last week was all me. I take that blame.
It just wasn't meant to be, and it was the holidays, and we started blowing stuff up. So,
see, that's my problem. I usually schedule these, and I always schedule people's shit for the fucking holidays, and I don't think about it until
they always fall on
shit.
Monday. It's always a Monday. You schedule it so far out, you just don't think about it. But that's why you're flexible. We reschedule and come back. We have a good time. So, anyways, we start off. What you drinking on over, Sean? I see you popping something.
So this is John Bentz's mango habanero.
So I'm gonna try that Saturday, right?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. That's pretty well. I mean, depending on how much I got left.
I'm sure you ain't gonna get through that whole jar.
I'll say if I run through it, then I probably ain't going to work tomorrow.
Pour your drinks in a glass, and that jar will live to see another day. You start drinking out of the jar though, and you're gonna have a short night. But
so, what about you? What are you drinking?
I'm doing my White Russian.
Oh, and rum and coke.
Rodney's on rum and coke. He has to work in the morning, but
that reminds me when I was a kid, my mom would always was White Russians and rum and cokes. So,
and we're really old.
Nah. You're not that old. Come on now.
Nah.
As old as you feel.
So what exactly is in a? What'd you say you're drinking, Margie?
White Russian.
Yeah, what all is in a White Russian?
Well, some people use cream or half and half, and Kahlua and vodka.
I got you.
When I was a kid, I would take the Kahlua and mix it with milk because it tastes like chocolate milk like that.
That's good too.
Oh, Mom would be pissed. I'm like, it's chocolate milk, right? That ain't chocolate milk. Like, yeah, you're right. It wasn't chocolate milk, but I didn't know. It looked, smelled, tastes like chocolate milk, and I was fat and like whatever. Like pour it up.
Good shit. So what are you drinking? Easy?
Bourbon. I got some Bennett's bourbon I've been saving. I think it's about 2 years old now.
2 years old since you've got it?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got it too a couple jams ago. So,
is the jam this weekend?
Next weekend.
Next weekend?
Yeah.
The 21st and 22nd.
Are y'all gonna make it up or down or?
Lately the jams are like just sporadic. If we can hit it, because this time of year, is good for making whiskey, and it's also good for his line of work and a lot of other people's building construction. He's in concrete, and it's a real busy time for moonshiners and distillers. So it's hard to break away, sometimes. And it's really a lot of it's my fault if we don't show up and we have a choice, because I really hate to sweat.
Yeah.
That much.
I mean, I think that.
I mean, you're drinking and you're sweating and you want to be with everybody, but it's so freaking hot.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sweating regardless, but I'm sweating more if I'm drinking.
We're healthier people. If you sweat, you're healthy.
I must be picture perfect because I sweat buckets.
You don't want to keep the alcohol inside. It's got to go.
Right. That's one thing I really miss about the jams down there at the Rendezvous.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
The winter jams, it's so close. Everybody's, together. And
that was our first jam we ever went to, was a winter jam when it was small.
Mm-hmm.
Little. And
way back when times
you really
were good.
get to know people so much better then, and you finally get to see them and hang out and drink, and cover each other's asses, and
Don't have to drive.
if you did
Yeah,
drive, I
exactly.
mean, Maggie Valley is very forgiving of moonshiners. That's why I love that area so much, is because we never felt like, oh God, we got to just be so careful, because, you know, as long as you don't act like an idiot, but we could act like idiots at the rendezvous.
It's different when you're back at your place. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
rules are a little different. You have a little more fun, you know.
You can crawl to your room.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody stayed there, and it was a
The
good
best
time.
times were on the elevators. You know, everybody knows that. We had a great time.
Oh hell yeah!
I've seen Sean's dad help him get up to his room.
They may know who you're referring to. I
Oh,
don't
they
know.
know. Old Ricky. I didn't think he was going to make it. Me and my wife were sitting there in the car, and we're watching Sean, and he's fucking hammered, going up these steps, and little Rick's behind him, and we're just like, dude, if he falls, what the hell's Rick going to do? He's going to become a casualty of
Tumble
war.
with me.
And they just a couple times I thought he was going over. They finally made it to the top, and they made it in the room. Like, I could have got out and walked behind him, but they said he was good, so he made it. It's all good.
Somebody got to film it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Much better view from way back. So good times. Good times.
It's really amazing to see how many more moonshiners have come around, you know, just since we've known everybody. And it doesn't seem like that long ago, but then really it was a long time ago when we all met each other. And it's just amazing that with the TV shows and everything. And like I said, we didn't have the internet until just recently. And honestly, we haven't seen many shows, you know, master distillers or anything. And it's just amazing the number of people in different ways of people making moonshine and whiskey and everything has come around.
It's a revolution, that's for sure. We're in a renaissance right now. We're going through an alcohol renaissance. Liquor, beer, wine, moonshine, rum, doesn't matter what you're making. We're living in an alcohol renaissance. And
It's good to get back to the foundation of America.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you don't have to even say anything. If anybody has anything to do with it, drinking it, making it, just admiring it, it's something we can all be united in. And it also teaches people who are just coming into the art of it or the business of it or whatever you're doing with it, that you have to be careful and don't get caught up in notoriety and publicity and how many likes you have. And we had a couple close calls just from what we do now, being in the moonshine community, but we learned from it a long time ago. And we might appear as though we're recluse, but we're not. We're just always on the right side of the bars, you know, and you do it for what you love, but it's not really important to be so famous. And I really admire people that we know, like Donnie and Teresa and Casey Lopez and just countless other people who have gotten out there and just been real people and down to earth and always stayed true to us. And just all the people out there, they know who they are. They're just real good people. You know, we love being in the moonshine family for that.
So talk a little bit about your guys' history with that. Kind of maybe how you learn, or you know, just a little bit of, you know, your history.
I'm finally shut up now.
You're gonna have to speak. You're gonna have to speak. You know, you're part of the show. I understand. Got to let the lady go first. Wait till she's done. I think.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah,
I
you know,
learned how to make liquor. My step granddad showed me when I was about 15, and it's just something that's always stayed with me.
Okay.
His granddad actually really wanted to help him out also, because he secretly knew that Rodney had been running wine off in him and his sister's closet for years.
nice.
Okay.
So, as a child, you was making wine in your closet.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a lot easier to make your own shit than try to unless you looked 18, you wasn't getting no alcohol.
Yeah.
Who wants to drink that Mad Dog y'all drank too?
Oh man. Even
was
so,
crazy.
you're better off to drink your homemade shit than you are to drink the Mad Dog.
Yes.
And you didn't have to try to find anybody to buy it for you.
You're damn right. We always found a hobo or a buddy's mom would buy it for us, and we regretted it. But you know, I wish I'd have known I could make my own alcohol when I was
I know.
youngin'. So I'd have been doing the same thing. So
Rodney taught me everything that I know. You know, he's not a big talker, but I'll fill in a little bit of the blanks. He's been in this moonshine craft, whiskey craft for 45 years. And I was lucky enough when I met him through our love of caving. We were just real good friends, and we went caving. He showed me a different cave every weekend for the first 8 weeks we dated. And that was our dating life.
Right.
So we got into extreme caving where you rappel and you climb mountains and you drop through holes in the top of them and you pull down ropes and you drop some more. You know, it was real hardcore stuff. And when we got together, you know, we had been in so much limestone and seen so many areas that would be good for just the best kind of situation to run liquor.
And ran across all kind of old still
Always
sites.
finding still sites. Because the different groups we belong to, just for history, caving back in the old days is closely related with moonshining. And people had each other's backs and they didn't tell on each other. And cavers drank liquor, and people that made liquor, you know, maybe went caving. I don't know. But we found a lot of old still sites and parts. And we've got the GPS coordinate to over 10,000 caves in Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And we belong to a National Speleological Society where we got all this information, and then we just went off and did everything the wrong way. We caved by ourselves. Nobody ever knew where we are, and God saved our lives many times. But he got me interested in the whiskey business and taught me everything. And I'll let him take it from there on the history of all the equipment, how we started and everything. But I just fell in love with it. And I can do everything that he can do, but my whole thing is why. It's hot. It's sweaty.
Yeah.
I'll help him set it up, tear it down. I'll help you. I mean, we've saved ourselves from some bad explosions, you know, and
Set yourself on fire.
you know, 4 eyes are better than 2 any day.
Yeah.
But you know, it's really in his blood, and I appreciate that he taught it to me, because he might break his leg or his face or something, and I got to take over. You have to know what you're doing. But, you know, he loves it. It's in his blood, and I appreciate learning it and all the people that I've met from it. But I'll let him tell you about our history.
So in the beginning,
We started out with and all that.
In the beginning, what did you learn on? Like you know, you said your step granddad taught you how to make it. So like, what was something that he ran all the time that you learn on, and like what kind of still was it on?
We started out, you know, we just run a pot still, copper pot still. He, you know, basic moose, corn and rye. I've changed it over the years. I like putting barley in mine. It gives it a little different flavor. I started adding different flavors of barley. Last run I did, I tried a smoked beechwood barley, give it kind of like a Scotch taste.
Yeah,
it was pretty good.
I kind of look at
apple. We did all kind of fruit.
Our one of the best ones that actually we really don't have the time, and you got to really put your ass into it, is if you go and pick some apples. You got a good apple source. They are counting on you to come get those apples out of there so they don't have bees everywhere. And you got to smash them all up. And, you know, apple rye, that's just, if anybody's ever had any good apple rye, I mean, a friend who might want to sample it, they might want to sample the whole thing, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I know.
It's just amazing. But if, you know, great things like that, to me, it's worth the work, but it's a lot of work. And, you know, it takes a lot longer for it to work off too. You got to wait on it.
Yes, I love, you know, that's the difference. You can always taste it. Always makes it taste better when it's got a little bit of love in it. So
like waiting on a barrel, you just stare at it and it's aging, but it's going to be worth it. It'd just be great if you had a ton of money and you had a whole big warehouse.
But at least with the barrel, you got to see where it's at. Every now you got to see where it's at. Like, I got to know. Where are we at? Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there.
We were fixing to run some apple rye off one time, and I was telling Margie on the way up there that I'd like to add some kind of I liked the flavor that we were getting, but I wanted something a little bit more. And while I was getting the pot set up and everything, she jumps on the side-by-side, runs back to where we got our vehicles parked, runs down the mountain to the closest Walmart, comes back up with a half a case of apple juice concentrate.
The very best.
So we throw that in the thumper, and it come out some pretty good liquor.
Yeah, I mean, that concentrated juice is, it's definitely a game changer if used right.
Yep. But so would you guys say that's your favorite liquor that you made?
Yeah.
For several reasons. It yields good money to people in liquor stores.
Yep.
I would love it if we had our own distillery. I mean, I think that would be a top seller is all I'm saying. It's just that I'm not a heavy duty drinker. I know what good moonshine tastes like, and that's why we collaborated with Jimmy Jack's, because honestly, it tastes so close to our own watermelon whiskey, does it not?
It does.
It's so good. I mean,
it was a couple years ago. I can't remember when it was. Maybe 3 or 4 by now. But Jimmy Jack's was, after the jam, they like to go over to Gatlinburg. We did too, and we were up there in his hotel, or his Airbnb or whatever he got, and he was like, "Here, try this." And I tried it, and he's like, "That's good, ain't it?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." And then when I found out you guys were doing a collaboration, I said, "Man, I got to have that. I've got to have one of them." And
remember when his peach came out? Remember that? I mean, everybody does a peach, whatever way you do it, but it's just remarkable.
Yeah. Yep.
It pretty much is kind of worldwide, I've heard.
Yeah. That Pappy's peach is something else.
Yeah.
When we got into the watermelon, we were sitting around. We've been running all weekend, and it was late. We was fixing to tear the still down and everything and try to get home. And we've been tossing around the idea of a flavored liquor because nobody wants straight moonshine anymore.
Well, men do, but if you don't make
it taste like something else,
you have to offer something to the women, or they're going to cut the can off.
You're going to sell 10 jars of flavored for every jar of clear you sell.
Yep.
You have to make everybody happy, and there's no shame. I wanted to get that out there, that I've heard people sometimes get really mean with people about flavoring, post-flavoring versus infusion. Whatever you want to do, isn't the whole point. Whatever your end game is, whatever your end result, if it's just that you like to make people smile when they drink your whiskey, I mean, you have to serve everybody, not just one. And if you're talking dollars and cents for anybody,
if it don't make sense, it don't
where's
make
the profit at if you're selling all your, so I'm glad that there's different tastes out there. And I like to sip our clear. I love it just to sip. I don't want to make drinks with it. We've gotten a lot of feedback, and that's what's great about listening to people and asking them for their honest opinion. We've got so many people telling us, at our bar, people are mixing lemonade. Jimmy Jack's, his daughter, Autumn, and Jimmy Jack's and his wife. I mean, they've told us people put it in tea. I mean, there's just all different combinations. Float a jalapeno in your shine.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not even flavored, just try something, put it in there for an hour, see how it tastes, and, put it in there all night, see how it tastes. But I just really love all the feedback of what ends up happening with it,
Well, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of all this. You can do anything. Literally, you can take the same liquor and do it and infuse it or flavor it, 30 different
Mhm.
ways. And two people will never get the same flavor.
One guy took some pineapple that we had and mixed it with coconut Armor water and crushed ice. He said it tasted like a daiquiri.
Armor
shit.
energy drink, and then wasn't it something else too? Red Bull or something, or no? Oh, pineapple. You never know. People just come up with all kind of stuff.
Just mix everything together, and you're surprised, like, oh, that's pretty nice.
What will
So
I call it?
Big Easy, what did you do, if you don't mind me asking? Because we know Shawnee's, family. What did you do on Master Distillers?
I wasn't on Master Distiller.
Okay,
I just make
what's your deal?
I just make how-to videos on YouTube.
Oh,
And Sean approached me and asked me if I wanted to start a podcast with him, and I was like, "Oh yeah."
that's super cool.
So you want to tell them the story of how me and you met?
So
I want to hear it.
I've been making how-to videos on YouTube for about 4 or 5 years, and one of Sean's buddies.
It's been longer than that, by the way.
Oh, well, time, whatever. It's all relative. But,
wow.
But one of Sean's buddies, they watch our videos, and he messaged us, and he found out I live close, and then he and I became friends. He introduced me to Sean, and we became friends, and then we started a podcast.
That's cool. And you started going to the jams?
Yeah, I started going to the jams.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite, Sean? Your jam?
I like peach brandy or banana brandy.
Yeah, I'm a banana guy.
And Sean, you drink some weird beer, right? You drink that apple beer?
Yeah, Bush Light.
Oh,
Bush Light. I like the Bush Light apple or the Bush Light peach.
I can't knock it because I haven't tried it, and I know depending on where I've lived in my life, it's people drink different beers. So I started drinking Bush beer when I lived in South Carolina, and I grew up in the Everglades, and everybody was either Miller or Budweiser. There wasn't really much different, or Heineken.
The only way I can explain it to people that's never had it before, like the Bush Light apple, it's like a characteristic like you would get out of an straight apple brandy, right?
Oh.
So you get the beer, but you get a little bit of the apple.
Mm-hmm.
The peach is a little more straightforward, though.
I'm telling you, I'd probably try it when we, up until probably about a couple years ago. I mean, we drank our weight in beer. Everyone knows that. And we drank Yingling a lot. And I mean,
Brewery hopping.
Yeah, we did a lot of that. And I mean, I'm not trying to act like we're geriatric, but my God,
After a while, she got tired of picking me up out of the floor.
Yeah, that too. I don't know. We have more control with harder liquor. We know, it talks to you. It says, okay, that's it. But
and if you don't listen, that's it.
Yeah, then you pay for
it. Sometimes you got to fight back. You can't be told what to do. So you got to quell him down and just.
That's what the festivals are for. That's why we always have to have a bunch of festivals.
Yeah, and your dad has to help you up the steps. We all know how it is.
Yeah, we made sure to get a house with no stairs or anything. I mean, we already know, life is clumsy.
But so I know you guys were talking about pot stills. Talk a little bit about what you like about
it out with.
Yeah, what you started out with, what you really like about them.
What you run now,
or just whatever.
Well, when I was showing Margie how to distill, I had to get something really quick, and kegs were pretty quick, so we throwed one together. Just
else nice.
What was it, 15-gallon keg or whatever they are?
Yep.
And then
ran it straight to a worm.
Right straight to the worm, and then we decided we'll hook a thumper up, and I think our next size up was like 30-gallon, and then that
copper.
We kind of outgrew it.
We went from a keg to copper.
And then went to 50-gallon, and we're running 75 now.
Nice. It's always, it's always stepping stones. You hear from everybody. Like, I started small, But
And
it's
And
one,
the keg that we use in the keg for a thumper, and it's the keg that we started.
so it's sentimental.
yep.
And then
You know,
our worm barrel. You know, I even learned about that. I thought that was super cool. I've seen wood barrels all my life. You know, I didn't know you have to swell them. I didn't even think about it. Just all those little things are so cool. The preparation you do, you know, it's pretty cool.
you definitely learn things you didn't think about. That's for sure. So
We've helped.
there's always something.
We've helped a lot of people. Well, maybe I shouldn't say a lot, a good many people who approached him, and it was super easy for us to hook them up with the hardware and all the clamps and everything they'd need. Show them how to, you know, do it with a keg, since we did it with a keg, and they can go ahead and get started. And they're just so happy that somebody would help them and not make them take a class or charge them money or whatever. I just think you should help people. You don't ever tell somebody your recipe, but you can tell them everything. You can help them so much if they know they could call you and they're like, you know, I'm fixing to blow something up or something's not working right. You can call him. You know, we don't tell people to hook up some gadgetry we know nothing about, and if your drip's too small or if your stream's too big, you know, everybody should just do what they do and
Yep, do your own thing. You know?
Enjoy it.
Pretty
That's
much
the big.
still running the same way that I did when I learned.
Yeah, you know, it's what works best for you.
We don't use any kind of gauges. I still put a rock on top of the cap.
That broke my foot. That rock broke my foot, and he's still got that same rock.
Same one, huh?
Yeah.
That's why he still got it.
Yeah.
It's sentimental.
You gotta have a ball and chain. It might as well be a big rock that broke her foot.
That's right. That's forever foot rock. Forever foot rock. Yeah.
Oh shit!
But yeah,
But
you got to pass your knowledge along. You know, I didn't pay anybody for the knowledge I've gained. You know, it's been passed along to me through friends and videos and trial and error. So, you know, why not spread that
And you don't want to
information?
rush it. It's a you know, it's a lot of people don't get together anymore. You know, everything is, I'm glad we could do this, you know, but there's nothing better than being face to face with somebody and them teaching you, and you watching somebody run and just enjoying it, you know?
So
ask questions, you know.
So if you don't mind me asking, I know you guys said you still have the keg that you started on for a thumper now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to ask, with the thumper, did you weld or solder the in down pipe and the out, and you just connect to that, or do you guys actually put it in and paste it?
No, that's the only thing that we've got a tri-clamp on.
Okay.
I put it's a 2-inch to 1-inch reducer with the 1-inch pipe going right straight down through the middle.
Nice.
With about 6-inch column with your 1/2-inch pipe going over to your worm.
Nice.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, I was wondering how that, because I know Robert Bonder over there, that he's got one hooked up to that 6-jar that Rick built, and he's got a pipe in and a pipe out welded.
Well, that's where I've always did it like that. And then I sat down and thought one night, I thought, well, that probably worked. So we run it, or I welded or soldered it up, and we got everything hooked up, and it worked. So that's how we've been running.
Good shit.
Yeah.
That was another thing I learned when we went to Pennsylvania and we were doing our first bottling and labeling with Jimmy Jacks on his watermelon. I mean, he's such a wealth of knowledge, my God, you know. He taught me so much, but I thought that the bigger the pot, you needed a bigger thumper, and you don't.
You know, that's one thing.
It was just an assumption. I thought, oh, we're going to get a bigger thumper, but no, you don't need a bigger one.
That's a big misconception, I feel like, with people. Everyone says you got to have a third or a thumper a third the size of the pot.
They think it looks weird or something.
That's where a lot of people get turned around. They'll read stuff online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a book smart person and someone that's got experience doing it but don't have the book smarts.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
I've ran a. Do you remember the octagon pot that Rick built for?
Yeah.
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 Well, you know what I'm talking about. So I wound up with that for a while,
Hmm.
and I mean,
That's
it's just got six. It's just got 6 jars on it.
Is that
That's
the one
a-
Hall's Brothers blew up?
Yes.
Okay, my bad. I didn't
Oh
talk
man.
about the same
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I could put 70, 75 gallons in that thing, and it's only got 6 half-gallon jar thumpers on it.
Hmm.
And that's what,
That's
3
crazy.
gallons?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't know, people. I mean, I'm the type of person, if you can keep it safe, try whatever the fuck you want.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, I
That's
would
how
just
you learn.
think,
When we
you know,
first found out about the moonshine community, and we was getting in different groups, and everybody would post how their still ran,
Which I was trying to tell him, don't get in those groups.
and I'd post how a picture of liquor coming out the end of the pipe. Oh God, that's some rot gut shit. You're running it too
Right.
fast. Oh damn, I'm not running no little bitty pot.
We get offended easily. You might not think so, but we do.
welcome
And
to the
we're not
internet.
rude. We're not
It's
rude
all
like that. Those people are so fucking, rude.
Yeah,
And that's why I was like, look, we don't even need to. How I looked at it also was, isn't it a fact if you join a group and they've got 7,000 fucking, aren't all those people accessing your profile or your posting? I don't know. I just wasn't comfortable with it, but it was just a lot of it was just a lot of hate speech and cutting people down, not helping, not bringing anybody up, and
sounds like Facebook.
Yeah.
criticizing people that
Sounds
are
like
older
Facebook.
like us, especially. I mean, if what we were doing didn't work, I don't think we'd be doing it.
It's just
You know?
it's too much hate, not enough love over there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I try to steer clear of Facebook. It's just
We
not
just
enough
stick with
love.
our family circle that we've got. We feel really blessed that we got it narrowed down to the great people that are in it. And I'm always looking forward to meeting more good people.
Yep, I don't blame you. But so yeah, as far as moonshine or whiskey goes, in your guys' opinion, what's the most important ingredient? Is it water? Is it the grain? Is it the yeast?
Let's
The
answer it
fruit,
separately,
whatever.
shall we? You go first.
I don't know.
That is a really difficult question, actually. Even if you have the simplest mash recipe,
Probably
that's
the
difficult.
yeast, I'd say.
I'm going to say the
I've
water.
got my favorite yeast.
I'm just going to say the water, but I'm probably wrong. But
I
I'm just really sentimental about the water.
I think it's you. I think it's the distiller. That's who it is. Like that's
We do love it. I think it's great the way people have all these different recipes and they turn out a lot of good liquor, and I've tried it, and we, like he said, we'll change it up sometimes, but just when we got it to the point and it didn't take long to get there from what his grandfather taught him and what he had developed himself, and just trying a couple different grains, caramelizations or whatever, different barleys. And I just think it's a mixture of all of it and doing everything the same way every time, even if it was COVID, even if the prices go up.
Yep.
We don't do sugar washes or anything. We use our whiskey for everything and just tone it down. And I think that's what a lot of people appreciate is if they can, like a good restaurant, you go back and that burger's going to taste the same way it did a month ago,
And nobody died.
and nobody's died.
That's all that matters, right? Like,
No one's ever even told us they got a hangover, and honest to God, on my mom and dad's grave, nobody's ever said they got sick or got a headache.
Unless they just drunk too much.
been
And
there.
we're clean fanatics. I think cleanliness is next to godliness, and it's a big important part of your liquor.
Mhm.
And we really are anal about all our copper looks brand new every time we run, and we can do that because we're not commercial.
Mhm.
You can take the time. It doesn't take that long.
Just on the inside.
Yeah, on the inside.
Yeah, that's those. Yep. The outside can look all, 100 years old, as long as the inside looks Looks
like that
new. That's
patina
what
look.
matters. Yep, me too.
What do you guys like to
Cuts
clean?
down that glare from the air.
Yeah, you don't want it so shiny. But what do you guys use? We use citric acid.
I
Yep.
use Star Sands.
Star sand. Yeah, I'll use citric acid or vinegar, whichever one. And just steam it out generally, as you know, for a good while, and then hook the water
Yeah.
to it and let it cool back down. And what about you guys? You say citric acid?
Yeah, we usually just soak everything in citric acid overnight.
Okay. Yeah.
The night
Mix something,
before,
rub it around,
Mm-hmm.
drain it, wash it out real good
swell up the worm.
for a
Okay.
couple of days.
Yep. So, talk a little bit about, because I know you guys are a lot different from a lot of folks nowadays. You guys still like the old traditions, the running outdoors, stuff like that. Talk a little
Nothing
bit
like
about, talk a little bit about that, because that's something, me and him don't really know nothing about.
It's a little hard to run outside where I'm at,
I could tell you, he can talk on it too. A big blessing is in your circle, you have people, whether they're related to you or not, that trust you with some of their property.
Yep.
And you're safe, and you've got that peace of mind as far as that goes. And Cooper Creek comes from the water that we love so much, and it's a long creek, and
there ain't nowhere you can go on it, and there's not a still side.
And we have seen in the past years, I'm the point man. I go out on patrol. Just it's hard to even find a squirrel when you're running. I don't know why, but if it's too quiet, that kind of makes me nervous too. But we found out there was these big, huge owls. Scared the hell out of me. These big, huge owls were keeping the woods cleaned out, and we'd go out. I'd go out on the side by side or something and go prowling around, or just go out on foot for a long ways, all different angles, up high, up low.
Well, at the time we were using a big jet burner.
Yes.
So when you fired it up, it sounded like you just
echoing through the creek
I'd tell
canyon.
Margie, why don't you go on down through there and see how far you got to be away before you can't hear that.
It's like, I got home.
So this one time, it was. You want to tell the story?
Go ahead.
We were hungry, and I don't know, some things had gone wrong, and where we were running on this creek, you'd have to kind of shimmy down easy with the equipment and stuff to get it all. We left it set up, and we had big, huge, what do you call those? Netting in the trees. I mean, it was beautiful. I think we've got a shot on that preview thing of where it looks like it's glowing on him. That was that site there. And all along that creek, if you look hard enough, you'll see parts of worms and barrels and stills. And the area that we live in and all around here has got a rich history of serious hardcore moonshine and during the Prohibition and
all the way up into probably the 80s.
There's good friends of ours that have passed away that I met through Rodney and through his business in the concrete business that were bootleggers back then. And one of the first caves he took me in, when I started out caving with him, there's actually still the dance floor and the bar. They chiseled out a limestone in this cave, and they would all go out there, park their vehicles and hide them in the woods, and they'd take their clothes off and they'd have fancy dresses on, and they'd go in there and party and drink. And it's just a big, long history of moonshining in the area and surrounding areas, all in these mountains here. But that day I said, well, I'm going to go get us something to eat. And so I left. And as soon as I got out of that property, got my truck out of the gate, boom, it was a monsoon. And I'm like, oh shit. Flooded, and we're right in the middle of the run. And a bear had already got one of our barrels when we were gone, because I'd go down there while he's working, wherever we're running, and go stir barrels or whatever. And this bear, I could tell, because I like to think I'm like CSI. I was like, oh, hell, you know what happened? And the bear must came in there and he could smell it because, I mean, it was ready to go. He could smell it and you could tell where he put his paws up there. And we had a big board. We were tired. We just put a big board across all these barrels with a couple big rocks and stuff and a cement block. He got the part that was hanging off the barrel and it flipped everything towards him. You could see the whole accident scene, but we lost that barrel already. So we were already kind of pissed because that was like a quarter of our, one of four barrels that the bear knocked over. But I went as fast as I could off that mountain and onto another one and got to a pizza place and came back. And I swear to God, I came up on him. I left the pizza in the side by side and I got my gun out and I came up to him and I know to stay back because I wouldn't get that close. And it was on safety, but he didn't even hear me coming. And so then we were like, we got to do something about this burner.
Yeah.
And
So
go ahead.
we decided a 10-inch banjo burner.
Yeah, I was gonna say banjo burner for the win. Quiet.
My God,
Yeah.
that was life changing.
Yeah.
So yeah, talk about that. I mean, obviously it was quieter. Did the heating time change any? Do you guys?
Not really, because when we were down on the creek, I got the idea. We didn't want to build. Like when they used to put fires under the pot. But I figured
Like a furnace?
We put bricks all the way around it that would keep all the heat from right up under the pot.
Yeah.
It did cut down some of our time.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I was wondering. I've always used from early on a jet burner it's got a double jet.
Yeah.
And man, I'll tell you, those some bitches are loud.
So loud.
You ain't lying.
But I'll tell you what though, it's the best sound you've ever heard.
It
As soon as
is.
you hear one light up, boy.
We ran at this other place. It was an old hog lot. This guy gave us permission he said, you go back there and clear it out. And you could be like maybe 10 foot from the steel and you couldn't even tell it was there. It was grown up. So I thought this was perfect. We had that big jet burner back there.
Oh, we had to beat black snakes out of there that were like 10 feet long. And
he's like, yeah, go back there. Nobody will ever know you're back there. We ran all that summer.
We ran in the fall.
There. We was up there and at night time had some radio.
It was cold because we had a fire going too.
In the fall, the leaves all fell off the trees and we were damn near in somebody's backyard.
We had no idea there was a house right over there. That was just, I just really feel as though since we're not greedy and we've kept everything, I don't even know the word for it, but just not greedy. It's so easy to fall into that trap that I do think that the good Lord watches out for us. And I don't try and push his buttons, but we're really thankful about that. But we've had some really cool different sites that we've run at and gained people's confidence.
But there's nothing like running out in the woods.
It's very different. And we've run inside because on that same property, it's kind of a sad story. The guy's wife and kids left him while he was building this 2-story house. So he went and usually stayed at his brother's because way out where we live, it'll be like a family will own a ton of land and there's houses all over the place and they're all related. Well, so for company, he went and stayed with his brother most of the time. And he gave us full reign of whatever we wanted to do out there. And the house was finished out except for what, babe? The windows. The upstairs windows. No, they were in there, right? We could run power like in the wintertime. We wrapped electric blankets around mash barrels.
And we ran in the upstairs. So you was like in a watchtower. You
Yeah,
could deer hunt from up there.
You could just, and that's what he used to do. There was a little old wood chair at a couple of the windows, but it was just a big, huge space. He never finished the upstairs. So we ran there for quite a while and, it was a bird's eye view. And later on, he ended up, we left out of there because I started getting bad feelings And I said, I feel like I'm being watched, and I'm not a paranoid person. I'm just a real observant person. And if your hair stands up on the back of your neck, you should pay attention to it. So I also noticed one time that things were a little askew, and somebody had mistakenly unplugged the
Electric blanket.
electric blanket. And then we found out that he had got a little too drunk and showed somebody. So my feelings were right, and we cleared out of there. But there is just nothing like it. I mean, honestly, if Rodney was retired, we'd run all year round. We'd find a way. I mean, when it's real cold, you go inside. If you want to run, you're gonna find somewhere indoors to do it.
Terrible outside when it's freezing.
It's a lot easier to keep the mash right when it's warm out.
Right.
Everything when it gets cold out, wintertime, everything's twice as long. It's twice as hard and twice as long.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't make twice the money for all this. Why the hell am I doing it? So
well, that was his convincing argument to go bigger on the pot size. Because if you want to run X amount, then you just get it done sooner than later, and
make it worth your time.
Right.
And realistically, there's
3 or 4 months during the summertime. You're good till
whatever your
after the first of the
situation.
year.
Yeah, whatever your
However much
situation.
you drink.
There's not much more work in running a 75-gallon still as there is opposed to running a beer keg. Like, it's not much more. It's not much more at all.
No,
It's
really.
a little longer, but as far as the setup, the breakdown, all that,
That's
it's not much more work.
Yeah, because I was wondering about that, and it just never really varied that much. It never really did.
So what kind of yeast do you like to use? If it's not a secret.
It's in a gold foil packet, and they keep it in the refrigerator.
Daddy.
Is it called Daddy? Daddy yeast.
That's some old Red Star.
I'm the legger and the fetcher and the flavorologist and consultant and procurement person. And
he's the
there's
labor.
a place that I travel to in Georgia, and I always bitch about going there. But number one, Georgia's taxes are lower, and for many years, probably the last 15 years, I've been going to the same place, and everybody uses different kinds of yeast and stuff. We've just always used that because it was where all the grains were at that we buy.
We got to go.
How about corn? Do you guys have preferences? Favorite? If you run corn in your mash, do you like meal, cracked corn?
I like that Ohio blue corn. I like the way that Ohio blue corn comes out. It's got a sweetness to it. Nice fine grind on it. So
I got a question for you. So have you ate that like regular corn on the cob?
No.
I wonder about that because did we not see, we were in a fancy store. Every once in a while we do that. And we went in a fancy store and we're looking around and we're like, Jesus Christ, $10 for half a gallon of milk and all that. But we were just looking around, and sometimes you can just score something, you just want to munch on in the car and make fun of the people in there or whatever. And we saw a pack. It was for 4th of July. We decided to grill out. So we went up on this other mountain to this little fancy grocery store, and they had, it was like $7.99 for 4 ears of corn. And we didn't get it, but I've been wanting to ask somebody, have you ate different colored corn? Like corn on the cob, does it taste different than? It must taste different because you're saying, know.
It adds. I mean, we've done all kinds of different heirloom corns from Jimmy Red, Bloody Butcher, Amanda Palmer, Oaxacan Green, Ohio Blue, and they all have a different flavor. It's almost impossible for us to try it right off the cob. So one thing we can do is we can grind it up real fine and make cornbread out of it. And that gives you a real sense of what that corn tastes like because you made a cornbread out of it.
That's cool.
I was watching a documentary, the Samuel dude, the Whiskey King from that's what him and his wife would do. They would make bread with different grain configurations, and that's how his wife got the perfect balance to the rye that they wanted to use to make his whiskey at the time when vodka was taking over for gin and whiskey was a hard sell back then. So one way you can really get the flavor of what your grain tastes like is to make cornbread. You can make grits out of it, and you'll really understand the different flavors. You can put your rye in there, you can put your barley in there, and you really
change the corn and see how it tastes.
Yep, and you get a real good sense of what it tastes like to eat. Then might help you be able to know what it's going to taste like as a finished product.
I think one thing about being older or doing this or anything for a long period of time, you might get stuck in your ways of thinking, even though you are watching people. It always comes down to, do I want to possibly blow a hole run?
Yeah.
And that's why he's been talking about for years, and we haven't done it, but we should just do a little setup. Maybe I could just mess around with it or something, and try different things like that and see how does that taste, with maybe a different corn. Or we have a whole huge amount of juniper right in our backyard, and nobody we know makes gin. And I was like, well, I wonder what that would be like. I don't know how technical or how hard that would be, but maybe if we had another smaller rig, we could try different things like that.
You could always go back to your beer keg for small runs.
Yeah.
It's easily to take that 15-gallon beer keg and get a 5-gallon beer keg for really small runs.
Yeah, little pony keg.
Yeah. And that way
that's probably what we'll do, because this is our second year. Or no, this is going into our third year at this house that we got together. And it's crazy because I didn't even know that you made gin from juniper. And it's all these berries, and I'm like, I wish somebody made gin.
So, your mic's off, Sean. So we, let's say, Sean, you could talk about the gin. Sean brought me some gin from here in Ohio.
Okay. I don't know how long that's been off, guys. I apologize.
Well, that's okay.
Your mouth was moving. We didn't hear you, so we was having a good conversation without you.
So
we just
speaking of gin, what you can do, because I know you guys are you're talking about maybe testing it out in a smaller pot. What you could do is just run. I know you guys don't do straight sugar, but most gin is a neutral spirit. So what you could do is run a sugar wash in your bigger pot. From the head, well, not the heads, but the hearts, the tails, all run it all the way down like you normally would if you collect hearts. Or tails. I don't know if you do, but then rerun it in the beer keg, and then you could put your botanicals or whatever in your thumper or gin basket or whatever.
Oh, that's what you
that
do?
way. Well, you could. Just a lot of people that run gin just do a neutral grain spirit or a neutral spirit, because it usually will pick up the whatever's in the gin basket more so than what's in the pot.
It must be an acquired taste. I remember drinking
it is
slow gin fizz like when I was in my high school days, and it was just killed my stomach. But then I drank gin and tonic or something. I was like, well, that's not bad. But it just seemed like an alcohol that didn't really take off with anybody I knew, and I don't even know anybody.
It's amazing that gin was the drink of choice for so many years. It was so popular. I don't like gin.
Yeah,
it hurt me. It hurt me a couple times. I just don't like gin. I don't like it.
I never traveled down a good gin road.
It was always a bad. I was a crash test dummy a few times, and so it's just wild how popular that it was until vodka took over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit ain't even popular in my opinion, but
vodka.
Yeah, I mean it's
everybody's got a vodka.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
You're good.
I was gonna say, in my opinion, every liquor has its place. It's a good vodka's a good base. I mean, it's just a neutral grain spirit, basically.
And that's the guy for Smirnoff. That's what he marketed it as when he was trying to push vodka to take over gin. Like, look, it's flavorless. You can mix it with this, mix it with that, and that's what like for for your not your hardcore drinker, your average drinker.
Right.
They don't want to taste the alcohol because
That's me.
that's the worst part of it. You know, you
Yeah.
want to taste that fruit, you want to taste that deliciousness, you want to taste candy, and so that's why he pushed it. He pushed it so hard as a mixer. You know, cocktails, and that's how it exploded and it took over.
And that's how they made their money with cocktails.
Well, you know, vodka took over. It exploded because it got into the first James Bond movie. And you know, James Bond was drinking vodka in his martini at the time when, you know, it was gin and martinis. It wasn't about vodka; it was about gin in your martini. But then everybody saw, you know, James Bond. He's a spy. You know, back in I don't know what it was, the 70s or whenever it was, and they all wanted to be like James Bond, so they started mixing vodka in their martinis, and vodka took off.
I did not know that.
But you can't walk up into a crowd with a bottle of vodka and start a conversation like you can with a jar of moonshine.
You damn right.
You're damn right.
You walk up in a crowd with a jar of moonshine.
Well, you make
everybody wants
friends
to know
all
what you
over
got
the
to say.
place.
Moonshine's got that heritage and that mystique that vodka just doesn't have, you know.
And it never will.
And
never
most
will.
of the time, everybody wants to be your friend.
Yeah, we
Yep.
were at a mud bog. It was a Wade Jennings moonshine. What was that? Mud and Moonshine Festival. I'm not going to talk about that too much, but the highlight was Wade Jennings. And then, because it was oppressively hot, and I don't know if you've been to a festival where if there's not grass and trees, I'm probably not going to be happy.
That
There's
sounds like the jam. There's no
you know, if
trees.
you're trying to get up in somebody's tent and you're not buying their stuff, or, you know, but it was so hot. But then when we stuck it out and it was getting dark, and it was the mud bog thing. Oh my God, that was so entertaining. I had never seen that before. Stuff that I like to ride in and stuff. I mean, these guys are taking it through the mud, sinking it, and they're not making it. Anyways, Rodney goes to just try and gently ease a jar out so we could sip on some. All of a sudden, woo!
Oh yeah.
You know, and I'm like, man, we're trying to drink this.
Pulling a jar out in a function reminds me of being a kid at school and pulling out a pack of chewing gum.
Yeah.
Everybody's your friend and everybody wants a piece and everybody wants to hit that jar, you know. Except it's magical, you know. It's
like the kid that's got the snack pack pudding and your mom's making you take saltine crackers or an orange or something.
Yeah, you know, let me get one of them snack packs.
Yeah.
So, not to change the mood or anything, but do you guys have a good story of when, like, say, moonshine almost killed you guys, or
I said earlier,
you were
caught you
making
on fire
runs or
before.
One where we thought we were going to jail.
That
Would you like
works?
to hear about that?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Hey, we had some people over in
Don't
Asheville
don't
that
say
was
where.
really fond of our liquor. So
We won't get too specific.
yeah.
Here, let me just move Rodney's cup out of the way while he's talking.
Over under.
Hey, we were coming back this back way toward the highway. Thought, well, we'll just jump right on the highway. We'll be all right. Go all the way home.
We were
Got no
actually advised to go that way because
We
this was
still-
Thanksgiving Day,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
We still got liquor in the back of the truck. We come around this curve and
I'm about to fire up a big old hog leg, as a matter of fact. We're out of town.
state troopers got a roadblock.
Right underneath the bridge, we were directed to go that way. That'd be a really good way to go out of town.
So we pulls up there and the cop said, "Can I see your driver's license?" Well, I'd been throwing my wallet in Margie's purse all weekend. I said, "Well, give me my wallet." And she goes to looking in her purse and she's like, "I don't have your wallet." I thought, well, shit, we're fixing to get tossed. And I just happened to reach down. I felt my wallet. I had cargo shorts on. I felt my wallet. Here you go. She looks at my driver's license. She's like, "Well, you have a nice day."
You forgot the part about I'm looking for your wallet in my purse. And
That's
what's
what
in
I
my
just said.
purse? The gun.
No, she had a pistol in her purse. And she said, "Well, you have a nice day." I said, "Hell, y'all too, man. Y'all are doing a fine job."
We don't know why
And
that
talking
happened.
about Margie being a procurement person, I said, "I'm going to have a beer or something after this." I looks over at her in the passenger seat. She said, I'm already on it. There's a brewery just about 2 miles up the road.
Got to celebrate when you're giving a gift. So
That was just a
Proud of that.
slight mishap, because what had happened was, and maybe this can help somebody in the future, what I was talking about earlier about don't worry about being so popular, or, just lay low and learn and, soak it all up, because just us being older and everything, we hadn't really been around too many people. We always pretty much just him and I. And at this time that he's talking about, somebody just was too freaking eager to be friends, and they just kept on coming and coming, and then threw it out there that there was a whole lot of people that like to sample, and I had a Maine blueberry. I would get blueberries, big old fat Maine blueberries, and put it in our shine, and naturally flavored blueberry, and then throw some blueberries in, just like a little bit on the bottom. For some reason, this whole town loved it. They couldn't get enough of it. So it was worth our time to go up there because they requested it. We weren't going in that area soliciting anything or whatever. It's just friend sampling thing. And they were just too eager to be our friends. And they set up a big thing where it was pretty much like an assembly line for me. And there was just, it was huge. And that was when we were on our way home from that, is when that happened. And we found out later this person was just damn mad at us that we did so well, that all these people showed up for us and not them. And they were their supposedly friends they went to school with and lived with, people they grew up with. We had no idea those emotions were going on, and we were just having a good time, and we were being careful, we thought. And it just taught us a very big lesson, that it's numbers aren't important, and something that looks easy and it's huge, it might not be such a good idea. You got to think things through. And that was very scary, and that would have been a horrible thing if it had gone south like those people were wanting it to do. But luckily, we, like I said, the family that we're in, all of us people, they were right there ready. People were just ready, to help us out if we needed any help. But we just cut all ties and went back to our old ways of laying low. That's one thing that happened.
Yeah. There was that time that you were handing liquor between the cars and the police coming up in back of you.
Yeah. There's a friend of mine I used to work with years ago, and we were on our way somewhere, and we decided to meet her at a little pool store. So we synchronized everything up, and we were pulling in there, and I didn't even get out. I just handed it to her. I mean, she's just an old friend. Just so happened right at that time, this cop came flying in that parking lot of this closed business, and did a U-turn and almost hit our cars. And you could tell the whole time he was turning around, he was just grinning at us. He was on his way on a pursuit, and he was just whipping a U right there. But it was just right at that time. Yeah. I think all of us crapped ourselves. And I just was like, see ya, and I was leaving, and I thought, oh God.
And I have set myself on fire. I was running during the winter time, and I had a Mr. Buddy heater out there beside me to keep warm. Well, I'd sat there and I'd been sampling the whole time it was running. I didn't realize that it was hitting the top of that jar and splashing out on my overalls leg. Well, I got done swapping jars, and I turned around to warm up by the Mr. Buddy heater. My leg said, so I'm running around the top of this house trying to put my leg out, stop, drop, and roll.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
You know how much work it is. Sometimes I'll run towels out to them or something, or tell them, hey, you're splashing that all over yourself.
People don't realize how much work it really is.
It is a lot of work.
And nowadays people take it for granted because there's so many resources, to learn things as to where back when you guys were just learning, or even me and him really, it was just then starting to be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You
Back
had,
when you guys were learning, it wasn't such a thing. Like,
yeah, you had to know. You had to know. You had to have a step granddad or a dad or a grandfather or somebody that was willing to teach you, and and keep it on the down low, and you don't talk about it, and
Yeah.
and even back when, like I said, when Sean and I started, there was nobody, there wasn't how-to videos, there wasn't, there were books you could go get, but it was all trial and error, and
Yeah.
and how am I going to mess this up to help me get better next time? And so
and
so
that's
we're living in a renaissance. Everybody be grateful.
and that's why like when I talk to people like you guys or Jimmy Jacks, Rick, even sometimes.
Yeah.
But like when you all talk, I like to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Me
That's,
too.
that's why I'm here
And
doing this.
Well, I mean, we do too. I mean, we've been
Yeah.
making liquor for a long time, but you still learn.
Always.
I probably won't change my still or nothing, but yeah, I'm
No.
open to new recipes.
Oh yeah, and you never know what something you hear about somebody talk about what they dealt with. You might have to deal with that eventually, and you're like, oh, so and so tried this, and they dealt with it like that. Like, that's why I'm sitting here. I ain't sitting here for no other reason than to hear people speak and to learn by your knowledge of what you've done wrong and how you've succeeded. That's the only reason why I'm sitting here listening and dealing with Sean every week. And, I can talk to him anytime. So just to be able to, the different people we've had on, just to hear them speak, hear the
And
story.
like they say, ain't no good story ever started with a White Claw.
That's right.
I know
unless it's being distilled.
Yeah.
one thing I ran into when Rodney and I got together, and we lived together for a little while before we got married. But back in 2005, just in the surrounding areas, what we overcame, and it wasn't by us trying to, was that little by little, when you first start out, and as we started out, he was already a shiner, but there was a period of about 5 years where when it came wintertime, I really couldn't walk. I tore myself up pretty bad. We were hardcore cavers, and I blew some stuff out, but I'm fixed up now. I've got titanium hip sockets. But I remember when we first started around this area that people had a bad taste in their mouth. And there was a lot of bad shine, I guess, from years gone by where it was
just people YouTubing it and seeing
Yeah.
what comes out.
But enough people get enough bad taste in their mouth, and it just gives the whole deal a bad name. And when we were younger and struggling, you just have to keep your head down and keep doing what you do, and just realize that, number one, you don't want to have too many things to do with strangers. You just have to let your friends and family help you out and let you know how things taste and everything until you get things how you want to. But I think just people who don't care. If I hear about people like in Chattanooga or other counties, if there's a bust and there's any moonshine equipment or anything involved, it's because they were making meth or something. They find it as subsequently to just being, now they have access to your property, and I don't know what those people are doing, but they don't care about what kind of moonshine they're making. So when people do taste good moonshine, then they don't ever want bad moonshine again. But it's kind of a slow process sometimes, to bring people over to be open to try it again and not be afraid of it, and that it shouldn't burn your mouth out.
Which it's funny that you say that. When I was first introduced to it in Kentucky, in Montgomery County, the guy that made it, when I was introduced to it, he wound up getting busted because of that. He had a property, and there was multiple single wides on that property, and the law was up there looking for somebody that was making some other shit.
Yeah.
And he just happened to be in this building on that property, and he was running a 50-gallon pot at the time. And Yeah, that's how he got busted that time. That was in '08, actually.
Was he running when they did find
Yeah.
him, or so? How did that work out to you? Do you know, as far as the charges? Was it the alcohol volume of how much he had?
So I don't know. The way it was explained to me, he told me he spent 4 hours in jail. It was just the county that come to him or come up there. Since they weren't looking for him, and he knew people that worked for the county, it was kind of
Right.
just, now had it been ATF or something like that, then
Yeah.
that'd been a little different. But then he brought a much bigger size rig up after that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, he's still doing it today.
Hey, we
Once
all learn.
Once it gets in your blood.
Yeah.
It don't get out.
That one drip, that's all it takes, and you're hooked.
But that time period I was talking about, I mean, it made the difference in our, lifestyle and our survival. And that gives you an appreciation for it that you never forget. And damn, I'm losing my train of thought.
If you can afford a bag of sugar, that bill's gonna get paid.
You're damn right.
That's the truth. You haven't met a real moonshiner until they take their last $20 to buy a bag of sugar and make a bag.
And you got to spread it out when you're getting like 150. You need 150 pounds at a time or whatever you need.
Yep.
Just be careful. Don't use charge cards. Don't use bank cards. Pay cash. You don't need a receipt.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to ask. Do you have, if there was any aspiring, I don't want to say moonshiners because that's a term that some people don't like, most people do. But anybody making liquor, do you guys have any advice for anybody, whether they're starting out or just trying to succeed in that at all?
Start out small. Talk to people with experience. I mean, there's some good videos. Don't get me wrong, on YouTube that explain the basics, but it's better to face to face if you can find that. I mean, there's a lot of distilleries nowadays that's doing. We'll take you in and we'll show you how to make liquor and free labor. You're going to bottle it for us.
God, that drives me crazy because it's so brilliant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Free labor. Brilliant. Get somebody to.
I'm gonna show you how to dump corn. I'm gonna show you how to dump corn into the mash barrel.
Yeah. I remembered what I was going to say earlier. I would like to encourage women to get more involved if your husband, partner, brother, whoever and vice versa, because
you never know.
There's been times like if Rodney got hurt or something, I would need to take over. But the whole thing is it's something you can do together. And I feel like that maybe some women would be more involved if their better half would start showing them some things or act like they wanted them to be involved. I'm really proud of the women that I've seen come into the field. Amanda Bryant, Cassandra Lopez, and
we had her on here early on. Actually, I don't know if you know that.
That's actually one of the ones that we actually did watch. We've been trying to binge watch them because
Nice. We appreciate
we really enjoyed that. But I wish there was more women. I know there's a lot of women who are involved. They help. They're a partner. They help in their own way and stuff. But I know there's been a lot of times where everybody'd be having a lot more fun if the women weren't so pissed off. And maybe try and make some more get-togethers. Maybe get some things going with different groups all over the country because we all live in different areas. But like here in the Southeast, it's like a hot spot. There's so many great places you can maybe make a spot that's good for everybody else. I mean, we like to go four-wheeling, we like to kayak. We don't really care as long as it's outside.
Yeah, let's do it in the fall.
Get people together and start getting the women more involved in it. It's not just a good old boy network. I don't have any problem with the good old boys, but there's women out here too, and I just want there to be more happy couples.
Mhm.
You know, we can't keep this heritage alive if these women are all slashing down their old men, not wanting them to run or anything, you know. I just think you can't beat them. You need to join them and have a good time.
Yep.
That's the secret of our relationship.
It's all about having a
Moonshine.
good time, man, having fun. So,
Yep.
well, I think we've kept everybody on here long enough. You know, we greatly appreciate you. Grateful that you
Yep.
gave us your Monday evening.
Hey, we appreciate you
appreciate
having
it.
us. And we didn't die.
And it's been fun.
We told you we just hang out and listen to you guys talk.
I
And
haven't made it all the way through yet, but I'm
Woo!
seriously
you
working
better
on
save
it,
some of
boys.
that, man. I want to try that Saturday, Sean.
We're empty.
Yeah, you better
Well, we
save some
love
of
you
that.
guys.
Man, so we hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for listening. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, all your major podcast networks. You can listen to us talk. You know, Margie, Rodney, we appreciate you being here. We love listening
Thank
to you speak.
you.
And you don't have to jump off right after we end it.
Okay.
No, we should shit a little bit. So everybody have a great night. We'll see you next week. Before we go, Sean, Jar is coming out Saturday, July 29th.
Oh, yeah.
Bravo.
5 to 7
Yeah.
p.m. Is that when it is?
Supposedly, I'm gonna text Greg again tomorrow and
All right, so
double check. But
we
so
should-
That's a great label. You look really good on it, Sean.
No, you don't have to
Yeah.
lie to him.
let's not get carried away, Margie.
That's a good label.
It'd been better with his face left off of it, but
Yeah, I
anyways,
love it.
Hey, I'm proud
So,
of what's on the jar, and I will send it.
we know for
All
sure if the release is from 5 to 7, you know what that means. Then we partying from 5 to 2 a.m. or whenever it gets out of the damn place. So we're gonna have a good time and say congratulations, Sean. We'll know for sure next week.
Yep.
Before we head down to the jam, and then we'll have one show after the jam, but right before. So we'll let y'all know. We hope everybody has a great time, and thanks for listening. Everybody have a great night. Shine on.
Come on.
Shine on.